Hi, did you know that there's an increase in throat gonorrhea infections, throat chlamydia infections, increase in infections of the eye that is from gonorrhea? That's eye gonorrhea infections. Why is this? And this is why what we'll be discussing today. I'm Dr. Deji Daramola. I'm a Canadian-based family physician, and today I want to talk to you about this. This is concerning, but it is preventable, and I'm hoping that at the end of today you'll have enough information to prevent gonorrhea in your throat, chlamydia in your throat, or gonorrhea in your eyes. Nobody wants to be working with gonorrhea in the eyes, right? So how do we start? Well, the first thing to know is that what we've seen now is there are a lot of cross infections. So there are certain infections that used to be confined to the genital area that we now find in the mouth. Let's start with something like cold sores, aka herpes type 1. We usually get herpes type 1 when our immune system is low and you've been infected. They'll come up. You see them as cold sores. They can be tingling, painful sometimes, and they never really go away. Even when we treat them, they just subside. The next time your immune system is low again, if you have a cold or whatever, they will come up again. But we keep treating them. Now, we call that herpes type 1. Now, you can have herpes type 2. That is herpes infection in the genital area. Also not a pleasant thing. It usually comes like a sore. It's painful. It's not a pleasant sensation. I've been told you get a lot of tingling, pain, and things like that. Now that also is really not treatable, not curable. So we treat it, but people who have it, from time to time, they get a flare-up of it and they have to keep taking medication. The sad thing with herpes type 2 is that even if you wear a condom, you cannot prevent it. So it's important for you to be observant, and I'll get to that in a bit on the things you need to do and why you need to do that. Now let's go back again to some of the diseases that I want to touch on today. Now the next one is gonorrhea and chlamydia. They're twin diseases because most of the time they go together. Most people who have gonorrhea infection have chlamydia infection, and most of the time when we do what we call syndromic treatment, we treat both of them together because they usually go hand in hand. And these diseases, when you have them, for guys and for girls, for women, you would have foul smelling vaginal discharge. For men, you would have the same thing. You would have penile discharge. These are things you can see. If you squeeze the man's penis, a lot of times you will see the pus-like discharge come out. The females will see it comes out more liberally in females. When we are having foreplay, and this is where the problem is, when we are having foreplay, which leads to play, that's why we call it foreplay, so it's before sex. When we're having foreplay, which leads to play, the way it is that the executive function, the cerebral part of the frontal lobe, or the frontal lobe part of the cerebrum gets hijacked. And because sex is one of the primitive functions of the brain, we call that part of the brain, the reptilian brain, kind of takes over from the part of the brain that I'm using right now, the executive part of the brain. And at that point, we are no longer really thinking as well as we usually think. So there is a tendency that you would overlook these things. So if you see a sore around the vagina, you should look anyway. If you don't look, or you see one on the penis, you should look. If you don't look, that's a red flag. Just stop it right there. It's better to hold it than to have to start dealing with an infection that you will keep on treating. If you notice that you have a discharge coming from the vagina, or you have a sore around the vagina, same with the penis, if the person does not tell you and you see it, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Now, I would say wear a condom, especially if you're having sex with someone that you're not familiar with, if it's a one night stand, those kind of stuff. But for things like herpes, condoms won't even prevent that. You'll still get it. So, but it's important to still wear a condom. At least it will prevent unwanted pregnancies, it will prevent gonorrhea, it will prevent chlamydia. Now, my message now is that we're seeing a lot of herpes type 2, which is confined in the vagina area or the penis or the genital area. We're seeing a lot of that now in the mouth, and we're seeing a lot of herpes type 1 in the genital area. So there is a cross infection, and oral sex is the reason for this. And we're also seeing a lot of throat gonorrhea, throat chlamydia, even gonorrhea in the eyes, chlamydia in the eyes because of oral sex. So all these words, spill it on me, when the guy ejaculates and it goes into your eyes and the guy has gonorrhea, well, if it gets into your eyes, you're going to have gonorrhea of the eyes, chlamydia of the eyes. So message is that you have to be observant. You have to check the penis, check the vagina, make sure there's no discharge, make sure there are no sores there. And for women especially, when you look at the guy, also look for pimple-like lesions. So we call these warts. And these warts for men, they don't cause too much harm, but for women, there's certain types of these warts that when they get into your vagina and hit your penis, your cervix, they transform the cells in your cervix to cancer. And this is how a lot of women get cervical cancer. So it's very, 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 very important for you to save your life, because now cervical cancer, as you know, if you don't detect it early, just like any other cancer, will kill you. So it's observation. You have to be intentional when you're having sex, especially with somebody that you're not very familiar with. Make sure that you're in charge. Make sure that you're in charge and that you can negotiate your sex. I'm Dr. Daramola. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have, thank you very much. I'll see you in another video.